Ah. So we are in the last chapters of Proverbs, which will be reading from 27 to 31, and that will be the end of Proverbs, and then we'll be in the book of Ecclesiastes next week. Usually I do a recap of what I read before, but because this is Proverbs, more in the wisdom books, it's really mostly starting to apply to your life and start to do, right? So I don't really do a recap, I just start off from where I'm starting. That's only going to be for the wisdom books. Hi. Yeah, so that's only going to be for the wisdom books. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and start off so we can just get through the last chapters of Proverbs. So as I said, I'll be reading from chapters, thank you for the like, from chapters 27 to 31. So this is chapter 7 in Proverbs. Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring. Let someone else praise you and not your own mouth, an outsider and not your own lips, right? So not to give yourself any praise. You know, if someone's, hey Rihanna, thank you for coming through. Not to give yourself own praise, right? It's saying let someone else give you the praise, right? If someone's going to say well done for doing something, right, let an outsider do it rather than you say to yourself, oh well done, and you know, and boast about yourself, because then you can come a little bit self-righteous, then you can come a little bit prideful, you can come a little bit arrogant, right, if you are kind of praising your own self. And that's idolatry, right? That's idolizing yourself. So that is a form of idolatry, right? So it's better that someone else says to you, you know, well done for what you do. You know, I see that you're doing very good in your walk with Christ. Let someone else tell you that, you know, rather than you kind of praise your own self. And that's what it is to be humble and walk in humility, right? That is what it is to be humble and to walk in humility. Stone is heavy and sand a burden, but a fool's provocation is heavier than both. Anger is cruel and fury overwhelming, but who can stand before jealousy? Better is better is open rebuke than hidden love, right? It's better that you say to someone if they're doing wrong, right? It's better that you say it to their face than rather than you know, hide it in your heart, and then, you know, in front of them you're you know, a different person, right? So if you're going to do that, it's better to just do it, you know. And you know, if you're going to rebuke someone, but it has to be a good reason. You can't just be rebuking anyone because of anything, right? And it has to be out of love. If you're going to correct someone, it's going to be out of love, right? So it's better that you do that than hide it in your heart that you know, you really don't like that person or whatever it is, you know. Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. One who is full loathes honey from the comb, but to the hungry even what is bitter tastes sweet. Like a bird that flees its nest is like a bird that flees its nest is anyone who flees from home. Perfume and incense bring joy to the heart, and the pleasantness of a friend springs from their heartfelt advice. Do not forsake your friend or a family of your family, and do not go to your relative's house when disaster strikes you. Better a neighbor nearby than a relative far away. Be wise, my son, and bring joy to my heart, then I can answer anyone who treats me with contempt. The prudent see danger and takes refuge, but the simple keeps going and pay the penalty. Right? So remember, the prudent is the one that has good judgment. They understand what's going on. The simple is the one that is easily led, naive, right? They don't see the danger. They keep going on and keep going on because, it's that have that wisdom to understand or have that knowledge to know what is going on. So, the prudent, the ones who can understand and judge the situation and are discerning can see, that danger is coming, and they get themselves out of that danger before, it's too late. But the simple are so naive that they walk straight into it, right? Take the garment of the one who puts up security for a stranger. Hold it in pledge if it is done for an outsider. If anyone loudly blesses their neighbor early in the morning, it will be taken as a curse. A quarrelsome wife is like the dripping of a leaky roof in a rainstorm. Restraining her is like restraining the wind or grasping oil with the hand. And as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. The one who guards a fig tree will eat its fruits, and whoever protects their master will be honored. As water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart. Death and destruction are never satisfied, and neither are human eyes. The curable for silver and the furnace for gold, but people are tested by their praise. Though you grind a fool in a mortar, grinding them like grain with a pestle, you will not remove their folly from them. Be sure you know the condition of your flocks. Give careful attention to your herds. For riches do not endure forever, and a crown is not secure for all generations. Hi. When the hay is removed, a new growth appears, and the grass from the hills is gathered in. The lambs will provide you with clothing, and the goats with the price of a field. You will have plenty of goat's milk to feed your family and to nourish your female servants. Chapter 28. The wicked flee, though no one pursues, but the righteous are as bold as a lion. Right? So the wicked will flee, the wicked will hide, the wicked will, out of fear, right? But the righteous, we walk boldly, we walk courageously, right? When a country is rebellious, it has many rulers, but a ruler with discernment and knowledge maintains order. A ruler who oppresses the poor is like driving grain that leaves no crops. Those who forsake instruction praise the wicked, but those who heed it resist them. Evildoers do not understand what is right, but those who seek the Lord understand it fully. Better the poor whose way of life is blameless than the rich whose ways are perverse. A discerning son heeds instruction, but a companion of gluttons disgrace his father. Whoever increases wealth by taking interest or profit from the poor amasses it for another who will be kind to the poor. If anyone turns a deaf ear to my instructions, even their prayers are detestable. Whoever leads the upright along an evil path will fall into their own trap, but the blameless will receive a good inheritance. The rich are wise in their own eyes. One who is poor and discerning sees how deluded they are. When the righteous triumph, there is great elation, but when the wicked rise to power, people go into hiding. Whoever conceals their sins does not prosper, but the one who confesses and renounces them finds mercy, right? And that's why King David prospered, because when he sinned, he went straight to God and he repented for what he did, right? He went to God and he confessed, and he didn't turn away, he didn't run from it, right? He actually went to God and he repented, and he accepted what punishment came his way, right? Because he knew that he did wrong, and even after that he was still being obedient. So God kept prospering and prospering and prospering. Blessed is the one who always trembles before God, but whoever hardens their heart falls into trouble. Like a roaring lion or a charging bear is a wicked ruler over a helpless people. A tyrannical ruler practices extortion, but one who hates ill-gotten gain will enjoy a long reign. As he should, amen, right? Anyone tormented by the guilt of murder will seek refuge in the grave. Let no one hold them back. The ones whose way of life is blameless is kept safe, but the one whose ways are perverse will fall into the pit. Those who work their land will have abundant food, but those who chase fantasies will have their fill of poverty, right? Those who work their land with abundant food. So, you have to work for things, you have to work. It's just not going to fall in your lap, you stop fantasizing about, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and you haven't actually put no work in to get to that place, right? It's obviously not going to come. It's not going to come your way because you're not doing nothing to put the work in, So, those who actually put time into their craft or put time into what they do, of course they're going to get something out of it because they're putting their time into it, They're not just thinking about it and not doing it. A faithful person will be richly blessed, but one eager to get rich will not go unpunished. To show partiality is not good, yet a person will do wrong for a piece of bread. The stingy are eager to get rich and are unaware that poverty awaits them. Whoever rebukes a person will in the end gain favor rather than one who has a flattering tongue. Whoever robs their father or mother and says it's not wrong is partner to one who destroys. Who comes to destroy? It's the devil, right? He comes to destroy. The greedy stir up conflict, but those who trust in the Lord will prosper. Those who trust in themselves are fools, but those who walk in wisdom are kept safe. Those who give to the poor will lack nothing, but those who close their eyes to them receive many curses. When the wicked rise to power, people go into hiding, but when the wicked perish, the righteous thrive. Chapter 29. Whoever remains stiff-necked after many rebukes will suddenly be destroyed without remedy. When the righteous thrive, the people rejoice. When the wicked rule, the people groan. A man who loves wisdom brings joy to his father, but a companion of prostitutes squanders his wealth. By justice, a king gives a country stability, but those who are greedy for bribes tear it down. Those who flatter their neighbors are spreading nets for their feet. Evildoers are snared by their own sin, but the righteous shout for joy and are glad. The righteous care about justice for the poor, but the wicked have no such concern. Mockers stir up a city, but the wise turn away anger. If a wise person goes to court with a fool, the fool rages and scoffs, and there is no peace. The bloodthirsty hate a person of integrity and seek to kill the upright. Right? People hate when you stick to who you are, right? You don't change your character, you're not compromising it for no one, you know. People sometimes will see it and just for that reason not like you, because you stick to what you say you're gonna do. You are who you are, you know. You don't go back on compromise your character, you know. People hate to see people do the right thing and walk righteously and have some integrity, you know. Fools give full vent to their rage, but the wise bring calm in the end. If a ruler listens to lies, all his officials become wicked. The poor and the oppressors have this in common: the Lord gives sight to the eyes of both. If a king judges the poor with fairness, his throne will be established forever. A rod and a reprimand impart wisdom, but a child left undisciplined disgraces its mother. When the wicked thrive, so does sin, but the righteous will see their downfall. Discipline your children, and they will give you peace. They will bring you the delights you desire. Where there is no revelation, people cast off restraint, but blessed is the one who heeds wisdom instructions. Servants cannot be corrected by mere words, though they understand they will not respond. Do you see someone who speaks in haste? There is more hope for a fool than for them. A servant pampered from youth will turn out to be insolent. An angry person stirs up conflict, and a hot-tempered person commits many sins. Pride brings a person low, but the lowly in spirit gain honor. The accomplices of thieves are their own enemy. They are put under oath and dare not testify. Fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. Many seek an audience with a ruler, but it is from the Lord that one gets justice. The righteous detest the dishonest, the wicked detest the upright. Chapter 13. Sayings of Agar. The sayings of Agar, son of Jekiah, an inspired utterance. So this is another wise man that is now speaking. This man's utterance to Ethiel: I am weary, God, but I can prevail. Surely I am only a brute, not a man. I do not have human understanding. I have not learned wisdom, nor have I attained to the knowledge of the Holy One, who has gone up to heaven and come down, whose hands has gathered up the wind, who has wrapped up the waters in a cloak, who has established all the ends of the earth. What is his name, and what is the name of his son? Surely you know. Every word of God is flawless. He is a shield to those who take refuge in him. Do not add to his words, or he will rebuke you and prove you a liar. 2 things I ask of you, Lord. Do not refuse me before I die. Keep falsehood and lies from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches, but give me only my daily bread. Otherwise I may have too much and disown you, and say, who is the Lord? Or I may become poor and steal, and so dishonor the name of my God. So he's saying, hey, oh no, thank you for coming through. So he's saying, just give me my lot, right? Just give me what I need for the day. I just want to be content, right? Don't give me too much where I'm too greedy, where I turn from your ways and forget you. And don't put me in too less in poverty, where I go and I start stealing and I do all these things um, that does not align with your commandments, right? So just keep me content. Just give me my daily bread. Only give me what I need. Give me my lot. That's it. Do not slander a servant to their master, or they will curse you and you will pay for it. There are those who curse their fathers and do not bless their mothers, those who are pure in their own eyes and yet are not cleansed of their filth, those whose eyes are ever so haughty, whose glances are so disdainful, those whose teeth are swords and whose jaws are set with knives, to devour the poor from the earth and the needy from among the human race. The leech has two daughters. Give, give, they cry. There, there are three things that are never satisfied, four that never say enough: the grave, the barren womb, land which is never satisfied with water, a fire which never says enough. The eye that mocks a father, that scorns an aged mother, will be pecked out by the ravens of the valley, will be eaten by the vultures. There are three things that are too amazing for me, four that I do not understand: the way of an eagle in the sky, the way of a snake on a rock, the way of a ship on the high seas, and the way of a man with a young woman. This is the way of an adulterous woman. She eats and wipes her mouth and says, I have done nothing wrong. Under three things the earth trembles. Under four it cannot bear up: a servant who becomes king, a godless fool who gets plenty to eat, a contemptible woman who gets married, and a servant who displaces her mistress. Four things on earth are small, yet they are extremely wise. Ants are creatures of little strength, yet they store up their food in the summer. Hyraxes are creatures of little power, yet they make their own home in the crags. Locusts have no king, yet they advance together in ranks. A lizard can be caught with with the hand, yet it is found in kings' palaces. There are things that are stately in their stride, four that move with steadily bearing: a lion mighty among beasts, who retreats before nothing, a strutting cock, a he-goat, and a king secure against revolt. If you play the fool and exalt yourself, or if you plan evil, clap your hand over your mouth. For as churning cream produces butter, and as twisting the nose produces blood, so stirring up anger produces strife. Chapter 31. Sayings of King Lemuel. The sayings of King Lemuel, and inspired utterance his mother taught him. Listen, my son, listen, son of my womb. Listen, my son, the answer to my prayers. Do not spend your strength on women, your vigor on those who ruin kings. It is not for kings, Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, not for rulers to crave beer, lest they drink and forget what has been to greed, and deprive all the oppressed of their rights. Let beer be for those who are perishing, wine for those who are in anguish. Let them drink and forget their poverty, and remember their misery no more. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the right of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy. So now we're moving on to the epilogue, the wife of a noble character. So this is, they say, is unknown. They don't know who wrote this bit, but yeah. So this is the last bit of Proverbs 31. The wife, the wife of noble character. A wife of noble character who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She is like the merchant ships bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it's still night and provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her task. She sees that her trading is profitable and her lamp does not go out at night. In her hand she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. She opens her arm to the poor and extends her hand to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them, and supplies the merchants with sashes. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. Amen. Hey there, thank you for coming through. So that last bit that describes a wife's noble character just reminds me of Ruth, and this is why I say Ruth is like the Proverbs 31 woman, because it's not about the outside, right? It's not about the outside, it's not what you look like, right? It's about what's in your heart, right? And do you display these qualities? Are you do you display humbleness? Do you display humility? Do you display kindness? All these things that Ruth displayed. She was very loyal, right? She was very loyal to Naomi, and she was very kind, and she stuck with Naomi through the struggles, right? And then she met Boaz, right? And Boaz treated her really good, and then she was very obedient. She listened to Boaz. She followed Boaz's instructions, right? And she was very soft, and she was very nurturing, and she just really showed what it was to be a proper 31 Proverbs woman, right? It was nothing about the aesthetics, right? It's not about looking good. It was not about making her lifestyle look like it was this magical, and it's all lovely, right? She was really from the inside, of her heart. She was really displaying these characteristics, right? So it's just about what we display in our heart, right? We should be focused more on our character. We should be focused on what's inside our heart rather than outside. Appearances fade, beauty fade. That all goes, right? But if your heart is not good, if you don't have a good heart posture, then I think that matters more. That matters more, just being a good person, and making sure that you're being kind, and making sure that you are fearing the Lord, making sure that you are following God's instructions. Those are like the things that God looks for, right? That's what he looks for. He's not looking for the worldly things. He don't care about the worldly things, right? He cares about what's in your heart, what you display, how you treat other people, how you behave, right? That's what he cares about. And that's what you'll be judged for. You know, he's not judging you how you look, right? He's judging you for, you know, when Jesus comes back, for how you um, treated people, and how you've conducted yourself, and how you carried yourself, right? A lot of that aesthetic following going around on social media, and it does not reflect that verse at all. Exactly, Rihanna. I've seen a lot, and you know, it's very deceiving as someone that is new coming to Christ, right? Because I saw that very early on in my walk with Christ, right? And at first I thought, oh, is that what it's like to be a Proverbs 31 woman, right? And I was thinking, you know, I just kept watching a few, and I was like, well, it seems like a bit much, a lot to do at 6 a.m. in the morning. I'm waking up to go and do a workout. Then I'm going to the coffee, I'm getting a matcha and a latte or whatever. And then I'm doing this. I just thought, what? It did get overwhelming. I thought, really, is this what it is to be a Proverbs 31 woman? I don't think it is, right? And as I started reading in my Bible, and especially Ruth, and especially some of the women, you know, and I seeing their humbleness, right, and seeing their character, right, seeing their kindness, I I, I started to think, you know, that's not exactly a good that is not really a good representation of a Proverbs 31 woman, because you can be deceiving someone who's very early in their walk. I think this is what it is to do, and I have to get up every morning, and I have to do this, and I have to follow this specific routine, and it's not ideal. It's actually not ideal. You know, it's not about the aesthetics. It's about what's in your heart, right? It's about how you carry yourself, right? As a Proverbs 31 woman, you know, it can be very misleading. Me too. I was like, that's a lot. I wouldn't fit my life. Maybe feel kind of guilt on that until I started reading about. Exactly. I felt guilt. So I was like, well, am I supposed to be doing all these things? Like, am I not doing enough? Am I doing too little? And I'm just like, it just becomes unrealistic, because then you search for one, and then you get into this loophole, and you find it more and more and more, and it just overwhelmed me. I stopped watching them, and I was like, do you know what? Like, it's not, it's just not a proper reflection. Um, so yeah, that's why it's really good to be in your Bible, because you have some people who can actually take you on a wrong path, and mislead you, and make you think this is what it is, and it's not, right? It's not. You just have to have a little bit of discernment, and a little bit of, you know, understanding. You know, when some people are putting out some content, you've got to just really have a lot of discernment if this is really something realistic you can do, or if this is just something they're just putting content out for, just for it to look aesthetically pleasing, right? Yep, I am followed and subscribed from a lot of them. Me as well. Me as well. I realized that a lot of people that I followed in the beginning, when I was following Christ, I now unsubscribe, because you start to really see the fruits, and then you start to really see that some of the things that they're saying is not really aligning up too much, you know. I just, for me, I can't. So yeah, a lot of people I've unsubscribed from as well, especially the ones that do all the aesthetically pleasing content, which is not realistic, right? Which is not realistic. That and to say that a lot of work goes into making those content, those aesthetically pleasing content, a lot of time goes into that, and that's, you know, I'm just like, if it's called to vlog, but I mean, that's a lot of time and energy, you know. I just like, really, like, if I'm gonna watch a vlog that's centered around God, I want authentic, something that aligns with what how I walking in my Christ. I need something that I can relate to, you know, and I can't relate to something that's aesthetically pleasing. Like, I don't get up every morning at 6 a.m. and go to the gym. I don't go to the coffee shop and get this. You know, I just don't do that. I just don't do that. Your job is easier. We all have our own path. All our lives aren't going to look the same. Right, exactly. Our paths are different. Like everyone's path is different. You know, it exactly. It looks nice. It seems appealing, but it's unrealistic. I'm sure that they don't even stick to that. I'm sure they don't even stick to that all the time. I'm sure that really is just for content. But I don't think that's how their routine goes. You know, and again, I think that's very misleading because you know if that's not your routine, you're not doing that all the time, then you're misleading others to thinking that this is the way to do it, and you're going to overwhelm people, and people are going to not want to, you know, walk with Christ because they think that there's all these other requirements that you have to do in order to be this Proverbs 31 woman. And it's just like, no, it's very simple. Like it tells you here, it's very simple. It's very simple. Like stop adding all this other stuff to it, and making it complicated when it's just very simple to follow. There is no way that would be why. But hey, if they do, then good on them. That takes some serious discipline. Honestly, some serious discipline because I have discipline, but that is way too much. That's way too much. That's way too much. I'm sure there's days that they have. I'm sure there's days that they have days where they're not feeling it, where they're feeling a bit down. You know, I'm sure not every day they're just like this happy. I'm sure they're not like this happy-go-lucky all the time. I'm sure there's days where they're just not wanting to do anything, and you know they're having a struggle with days with getting in their Bible and stuff like that. They just don't want to show that stuff, you know. They just don't want to talk about that stuff because they probably think it won't be appealing. But that's the real walk with Christ. That's the real walk. It's this real struggles. There's days that you're just not feeling it, and there's days that you're just like in a real spiritual struggle, you know. They should show those real moments, you know. They should tell people that it's just not as easy as they make it look when they're making content. It's not that easy. It's a real struggle, you know. It's a real walk. You can leave. um but yeah, I'm gonna go, guys. um I'll be back tomorrow to do a Psalms devotional. So every Sunday I do a Psalms devotional. We just sit down and give thanks and give that time to God, and I'll just read some chapters in Psalms. So you're welcome to come and just, you know, hear some Psalms tomorrow. And then next week I'll be in the book of Ecclesiastes and Song of Songs, and that will be the end of the wisdom books. So yeah. But yeah, thank you all for coming through. Thank you for the likes. Thank you, Rihanna, for, you know, talking in the comments section as well. Thank you again for all those that came, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.